When looking for an affordable home in Phoenix, Phoenix Realtors have an old saying, drive west until you qualify. And so let's take a look at Buckeye, Arizona. Stay tuned to the end. There'll be big news about the Goodyear and Buckeye region and new jobs coming to that area. Welcome back to the channel. Before we go to Buckeye, let's go to my hometown. Let's take a look at a couple of cities near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The first one you'll see is Clairton. Clairton has a fairly standard shape for most cities. The river and mountains help form it. Next is where I actually grew up, which was Jefferson Hills, Pennsylvania. Again, you can see it's a pretty contiguous piece of land. Natural roadways and boundaries mark the territory for this city. Now let's look at Buckeye. Kind of looks like someone lost a game of Tetris. There are several different reasons for the way this is formed, how the city was incorporated, and how the land was annexed by the city itself. So you can see that Buckeye has a large landmass, larger than some of the cities interior to Phoenix. And most of that is developed, although there are some undeveloped areas where new homes are planned for the future. But one thing's for sure, out in Buckeye, with nothing built to the west, you'll get beautiful sunsets every night. Now it's time to look at the pricing trends for Buckeye, Arizona. This is where we get into the numbers. First thing we'll look at is July of 2019 all the way to December of 2019, because that was before COVID really took hold. If you followed these other videos where I've talked about property values and the effect on COVID-19, you'll understand these charts, but I'll go through them once again for anybody who's just joining us for the first time. So during that period of time, we saw the median list price of all listings in that period was $279, $280 rounded up. December average list price was $330. So again, what's the difference between median and average? Average is taking all the home prices and dividing by the number of homes, whereas median is if you put everything into a list, the one exactly in the middle, that would be the median list price. We'll also see that the median sales price was $256. So while the list price average was $279, the sales price was $256. Meaning that the lower range houses sold faster than the higher range houses. Average list price, again, was $330. The average sales price was $280. So again, at the lower ends, they sold faster than they did at the upper ends. And we'll break that down in just a minute. Well, you'll see that this was prior year, it was a rise. So during that period of time from July 2019 to December 2019, prices were up year over year. They had 404 total properties for sale. In December of 2019, they sold 228, average days on the market 44, asking price per square foot 145, and the sold price was 142, so they got about $3 less per square foot than they were asking. And supply, December's month of supply inventory is 1.8. Again, a 6-month supply is a balanced market. 1.8 means that, again, this is a seller's market, but not the seller's market that we've seen recently. It's still very fast. Prices were going up and selling very fast, but not the 0.8 months that we saw recently in other cities. Again, that has to do with the amount of properties that were available and how quickly they sold, because there were fewer properties available in later 2020. Property sales during this period, fairly steady over the last year, a little bit of a rise, a little bit of an uptick. When we look at prices, we see a consistent upward trend of prices all the way up through December of 2019. Inventory was a little smaller, but not significantly smaller than past years. And then market time, we see that 44 days being on market from the time it was under contract to sold. 44, this was a drop from the December previously at 62. They were going a little quicker even in December of 2019. And selling price per square foot in all of Arizona continues the upward trend. So now let's switch to the period of time from December of 2019 to 1 July of 2020. We see that the median list price is $321, average list price $382, significant increase. June median sales price $276, again up from the previous 6 months, and the June average sales price of $295. So we see upward trends in all these areas as prices increase. We also see, if we look down here, that the month of supply, June's month supply of inventory, dropped down to 1.1. Again, accelerating that seller's market from 1.8 months of supply. Months of supply just speaks to the amount of properties that are available on the market for the average selling rate. Property sales actually went up in June. Now this is a July report, but again, June is the last month for which we have data. And if we look year over year, that's actually an increase. So while most of Phoenix was pretty soft in property sales, Buckeye has kept its trend going, along with the sales prices. You can see the sales prices continuing their upward trend, although inventory has dropped. So again, we do see an impact on the markets because people don't want others in their homes during this period of the pandemic. Not sure whether they want to meet other people or even agents in order to sell their home. So 2020 was soft even in Buckeye, but better than Phoenix. Market time, we'll see from the last 6 months, which was 44 days on market, dropped to 37. And again, when you have less inventory, but still people wanting to buy, that market time is going to drop. Again, continuous upward pressure on selling price per square foot for the homes that were sold in this area. Now it's time to break Buckeye down into segments. From 200,000 to 250 is the first area we're going to look at. Median list price of 232, the average list price, what people are asking, at 231. The actual sales price, median was 230, and the June average sales price was 228. Total properties for sale currently at 39, but in June, 90 properties sold in Buckeye. So you can see this inventory is very small compared to what has actually sold. Average number of days on market, 34, very short, which is reflected in the months of inventory as well. Things are moving quick. 0.4 months of inventory in this price range for Buckeye. People were getting pretty much anything they asked for, they were going to get it for their property, particularly in this price range. But you'll notice that the average list price of 231 with the average sales price of 228 doesn't tell the whole story. If we look for asking price per square foot, asking based on new listings at 144, the June sold price was higher than the asking price at 145. Scroll down to property sales. Not a lot of properties in this price range, but we see there's a consistent upward trend of sales in Buckeye. Buckeye is one of the hottest. In fact, it is the #2 market in the United States in growth by percentage. You see the prices continued upward trend. Inventory dropped very low. Very few properties for sale in this area May and June, which means that sellers can ask what they want. There are people out there who want to buy, and with fewer properties out there, people will pay a higher price. Market time again was 34 days, and the average selling price was up to 145. So let's look at the next category. Switching to $250,000 to $300,000. Median list price, you can see the average list, the June median sales. And again, you can pause this video at any time to take a look at these numbers more closely if you'd like. Things I really want to point out are the behaviors that we don't normally see at this time of the year. June, average days on market sold, 25, less than a month to sell a property. The June supply of inventory, a little bit higher than the last one at 1 month, but still well below the 6-month balance. Anytime we drop below 4 months of supply, it's a seller's market. We're way below that. Property sales in this price range going up. Some of these are new builds. In Buckeye, there are several communities that are building new properties, and so these will be reflected in the property sales as well. Prices, you can see in this area, are sort of flat, but still up from last year. Inventory, also pretty steady over the last few years. Now, when we look at other charts for other cities, we're also looking at resale homes. In Buckeye particularly, we're going to add homes in there for new builds. In some places, let's say in Peoria, you may not have a lot of room to build new communities, but in Buckeye, you have plenty of space to build. And this inventory where we see it looks like it's pretty good year over year. When we compare that to a city that only has resales, Buckeye is adding new properties every month. Market time, and they're going quick. So as soon as they're built, their offers are coming in on them. Selling price per square foot in this range, only 134, which is lower than the median we had for all of Buckeye. All right, now here we are at $300,000 to $350,000 for a home. Again, you can see median list, average list, median sales, and average sales. We can see the total properties currently for sale in inventory at 60, and 60 were also sold in June. Average days on market, 55. A little bit longer, but the month supply of inventory is still only 1 month, and the asking price per square foot is a little bit higher. In Buckeye, for $300,000 to $350,000, you can get a really nice home compared to some of the other East Valley communities that you may be looking to move to. Again, property sales are up for Buckeye. Again, probably a result of building. As they build, the prices stayed pretty flat out there in Buckeye. So again, good pricing, nice homes, lots of value in Buckeye. Inventory, again, pretty steady. Market time dropped a little bit over the past years, still higher than most of the other lower cost homes. The last range we'll look at will be from $350,000 to $400,000. Here you can see a little bit more stability. We see the median list, the average list, median sales, the average sales, but you find many fewer properties in this range because Buckeye is less expensive than many places around the valley. So there are only 7 properties for sale. There are only 5 sold in June, and it stayed on the market for 53 days. Months of supply is still low though. Until the builders can build more communities, the month of supply of inventory will probably stay fairly low. Property sales, again, you can see the numbers are very small throughout the years. Prices, if you drew a trend line, pretty flat. Again, inventory, small. Market time, you can see way back in June of 2018, there was only 12 days before something was sold. Now it's up to 53. Selling price per square foot, not too bad. As more properties are built in Buckeye, you see a stabilization of the price per square foot, and you'll still get a nice house. Due to the COVID pandemic, many more people have learned that they can actually work from home, and so the distance from Buckeye to Phoenix is not as great as it used to be. Now, there are always places that you have to be on site to work, but for some, that distance can be done by working at a home office. One other thing to keep in mind, the average price per square foot in Phoenix in the $350,000 price range is about $176 per square foot, but in Buckeye, it's about $145. So you get more for your money out in Buckeye, and if you're thinking about moving there, I hope that this video was useful for you. Thanks for joining me. I promised you news at the end of this video, and here it is. Amazon and several other companies are moving into the West Valley, west of the 303. This will provide jobs and opportunities far out into the West Valley between Goodyear and Buckeye. Go to azbigmedia.com to read more.